Okay, this evening I'm going to add some lights to my workbench. I've got one light right here that I've already mounted, and here's how it looks. And I've got that light wired into an old extension cord. My dog actually chewed the end off the cord, and I said, well, I can just use it and put it on this light so I can move the light around the garage or take it to the shop, move it around the shop or whatever. So I wanted to put two more lights on, and these two lights are 23-inch lights. They're just like the one that I've got up there now. They're identical, so I'm going to put one there and I'm going to put one there. And this type of light is a wired light. It's made to be wired in to permanent power. It's not made to have a cord put on it, but I got this extension cord that I hooked onto it. So what I'm going to do is I went back to the hardware store and I got a couple more ends. And this cord's like 20 feet long. You can't tell it, but I got this thing tucked down behind my workbench. I'm going to cut that cord into 3 even lengths, and I'll have 3 lights. And that way they don't have to be plugged in all the time. I can plug them into the power strip, or I can turn them on and off as I need to. So I'm going to wire up these 2 lights, and I'll let you see how I did it, and then we'll have the whole workbench wired up. So here we go. So now we're well lit. So you really don't get much in the box except the light and some instructions. We don't need those. The light's enclosed. You notice there's a punch out on that end, and there's also one on this end. And the light's real easy to get apart. This is the easiest end, so let me show you how to do this. You got to find somewhere to get a screwdriver in and start it. Usually I do something like this. And then that, and that, and that way the end's off of it. Inside this lamp, you have some wires. You have this is an LED lamp, so you have a LED transformer. It's not really a transformer; it's just a driver circuit. You have a neutral line, which is white, power line, which is black, ground line, which is green, right there. And then these lamps come with a dimming capability, which they don't even describe in the manual. They don't tell you. In the paper that comes with us, they don't even describe that there's dimmer cords in here, but there are. So, and to figure out what these were, I had to look up the specs on this AccuDrive 10-watt control circuit to figure out that those were to dim it. So anyhow, that's what those are. We're going to get those out of the way. So we're going to take the orange extension cable, and we're going to run it through one of these end caps straight in here, and we're going to hook it up to our black, white, and green wires. So green is ground, white's neutral, black is power. And also inside this, you get some wire nuts. So let's open those. So I'm going to get the extension cord pulled up here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. This is the cable that was plugged into the light. And as you can see, I've cut this cable into 3 separate sections, which are all about 6.5 feet long. I went ahead and stripped the wire ends on all 3 of these cables, because I didn't think anyone wanted to watch the exciting process of wire stripping. I know it's my favorite part of the job. So what we're going to do is, this is the existing light that I already had set up. We're going to have to put an end on this cable to plug it in. And then each of these other cables, we're going to have to wire one end into the light fixture and put a electrical plug on the other end so that we can wire them up. So first, let's put an end on this cable to start with. Let's do that. This is an Eaton electrical plug. It's a 3-prong plug. You can buy it at pretty much any major hardware store. I think these cost about $3 each. They're fairly cheap. They do a good job. I've used them for a long time. So to put this on, you have to put your cable in here. So here's how you do it. First thing you do is take out these screws. Pull the cap out. And as you can see, there are 3 connectors in here that you can put your cables into. Okay, so I tented the end of these wires. That strengthens the wire a little bit. Since these are stranded, you need a little extra strength. So now you put the wires through the main housing. And honestly, you should put the wires through before you strip them. I didn't think about it, even though I've done this 50 times. So, all right, so the green wire, again, is going to go under the green screw. The black wire is going to go under the brass screw. And the white wire is neutral. It's going to go under the silver screw. So the best way to do this is to tighten one wire down just to get everything anchored in place. So we're going to tighten down the ground. And notice green goes with a long peg. That's your grounding peg on this plug. All right. So let's put the black wire in place. That's our power wire. And honestly, you can swap black and white. It's just good convention, or it's a good idea to stay with a normal wiring convention. You know, whenever you're working with electricity, you want to do everything by code. So if someone comes behind you and they have to work on something, you know, they'll know what to expect, or they'll know. You know, you want them to have something that's done decent, worked on decent. You want them to have something that's been properly wired up. All right, so all the wires feel like they're nice and tight. Just double checking everything. All right, so now inside this, let's see, get you over here where you can see better. There's some screw holes. And those screw holes have to line up to the screws on this. And everything lines up according to the ground plug. So if you notice on the back of this, the ground plug's got that little tab, all right? In this housing, there's one corner of it. Let's see if I can show you. That part right there has the tab cut out. So you put this down into it like that. Then you put your screws in and tighten it down. And this is very simple. It should be about a 20-minute job at most. And you know, I want to say something while I'm connecting or screwing these in. If you've never worked with electricity before, sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating, and that's good. Intimidation makes you a little bit nervous, and nervous makes you go slow and do things right sometimes. Anyhow, watch some YouTube videos. Don't just watch mine. There's 1,000 videos on YouTube showing how to wire up different things, probably 10,000. Watch, 20, 30 videos. Get comfortable with it before you go and try and wire something up, especially if you've never done it before. You don't want to wire something up wrong and burn your house down. So just take your time and do it right. So now that those are all secured in place, we're going to tighten up the collar. And this collar is what secures this cord inside this plastic housing. And tighten this up as good as you can, or as tight as you can get it. Don't worry about over tightening it. This is the one thing you don't want to come loose. So Make sure this thing is really tight. All right. So you see how it sort of flattened out a little bit? I've got it really snug. All right, so this light is plugged up. All right. So let's see if I did a good job. Let's plug it in. There we go. Light's lit up. All right, cool. So now let's move on to the next part. Okay, so we're ready to, we have to run our orange wire through this end cap. So here's how you do this. This round area is called a punch out, and it's made to be punched out, literally. So you put a screwdriver on it. Actually, a flathead works better. There we go. That's a flathead. Take the flathead and just sort of bend it in like that. And you don't have to actually remove this punch out altogether. You can push your cord through there and leave it snug if you want to, just for some extra protection for your cord. So there you go. So you can punch it out enough to run your cord through there, and then that'll keep it keep your cord protected a little bit. So let's do this. Push it through. See if my cord will go through there. Yeah. Need to pull it out just a bit more. Bend it out a bit more. I mean. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and bend it out some more. There we go. So now the cord goes through the end cap, okay? And the end cap can go back on like that. But let's get our wires connected to the wire nuts first. So let's do green first. All right, then let's do our black wire. And last is our white wire. Let's hook it up. All right. Now, let's see how much cord we need. Tuck everything up in here properly. All right, so it looks like that's going to be the amount of the orange cord I need in here. So I drilled these two holes right there and right there. So I'm going to run my wire tie through the holes. And the wire tie is going to hold my orange cable in place. All right. There we go. And we'll cut off the extra wire tie we don't need. There we go. So now we can put it all back together. So I'm going to just tuck my dimmer cables down here because I'll probably never use them. Then let's put everything back together. Tuck it all back in here good. And there's a lot of wires in here. This will be sort of a snug fit, but it'll be okay. All right. There we go. Put the end cap on. Actually, I'm going to take off this this piece right here because I'm worried about it cutting my cable. So let's just go ahead and get that off. All right, so you move that back and forth a bit and come right out. There we go. So that's on properly. Let's do the other end. There we go, that end's on. You'll notice this end cap here popped out, so I'll put it back on. Uh-oh. And the reason to keep these sealed up is good is that insects love to get in these things. There we go, all right. Let's plug it up and see if it works. There we go. All right. So now we have two lights on the workbench. All right, so I've got one more light. I'm going to go ahead and wire up this last light, and then I'll let you see what it looks like when it's all finished. Okay, that's it. They're mounted. Got everything secured in place. Got my lights all plugged into the power strip. And I'm going to move this power strip somewhere else. I don't like the way these cords come out. I'm probably going to put the power strip maybe up there or on the side. I don't know. I'll put it somewhere. Anyhow, the lights look good. I got plenty of light on my workbench. Works very well. These lights are 1150 lumens each. So that's about 3450 lumens across the workbench. Works perfect. And I'm going to take just a second and give you an engineering lesson. You notice this light is secured in place with these screws, okay? Which is how it's designed to be secured in place. Let me get it down, I'll show you. See, you have these holes on back. You have to hook it up. So once you put this up there, it's not going to go anywhere. It has to stay in the same spot. All right. These, I ran a loop of wire through the top shelf, and I can move it side to side. I can even balance it on one wire. This wire allows me to let it hang down if I want to put more light in the center of the workbench. So you might say, well, that's pretty goofy the way you did that. Why didn't you do it this way? Well, I did it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I can actually move this now. Plus the wire, this screw sticks up above the workbench, and this wire doesn't. I've actually got this cable wire tied up here. I just used some spare wire I had left over from something else. It doesn't obscure the light too much, and it holds the light really good. Now watch this. If you move this thing too much, it goes side to side, and a couple of times it's actually fallen on me when I've tried to do something. When I've been working or drilling something on the workbench, it would fall down. This is not going to fall at all. So, you know, as engineers, we want everything to be perfect. We want everything to have right angles and all lines to be straight. And sometimes you just need things to work. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to work. And you may not agree with that, but the first time you reach your hand on top of your workbench and you stab it on one of these, I think you'll agree with me. So anyhow, that's it. If you decide to wire up some lights like this yourself, watch about 30, 40 YouTube videos. Learn how to do it. Don't burn your house down making a newbie mistake. So good luck.